Suppose I am creating a containers. This is my host machine. On top of it, I am creating a containers, and the container statics are it will uh, is- it will start, and it will whatever application need to be deployed into the container, right? The the application, it is a deployed, and what happen then, the application is running, and the application will store the data as well while running that container. But what is the problem is here, when somehow some problem happening into here. So what is the so what happened? Suppose it is a restarted, okay? Suppose it is a rebooted. It is a rebooted. So what happened? Whatever application uh, details it contains, whatever logs it contains, right? That is a deleted from this container. Even though what happened? Suppose when we are restarting, or when we are creating a new any new container, so what it will do, it is not creating a new similar, you can say similar kind of similar containers. It will create a different container. So the summary is that, suppose it's something is happening, reboot is happening, so we will lose the data, okay? And it is a, it one terms, it is called stateless. Stateless means it is not stored any data, okay? So it is a stateless. So if anybody will ask you that container is stateless or stateful, so you can say by default it is a stateless. And what is the solution if you want to store the data? This one, suppose multiple data, it is stored into it, and you don't want to lose these data, okay? Some data are there and you don't want to lose this data. So how to persist the data? Persist means store the data. So you should, we have one option here, Docker volume. So Docker volume, with the help of Docker volume, we can make our container as a stateful, okay? So suppose what happened, we are creating a containers. While creating a containers, we are assigning volumes, okay? We are assigning some volumes into this container. So what happened, what happened, whatever data it is stored in this container, it is directly stored into here, okay? So whatever data is coming to this container is not going to store anywhere. So whatever volume you have assigned, right, it will send the data into it. And volume, where from where we will assign this volume, we are assigning this volume from the host machine, right? We are assigning, because what happened, it is my host. On top of it, operating system we have uh, installed. On top of that, Docker installed. Then with the help of Docker, we are creating all these containers, right? So for the volume side, we 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 have only one option. We will take a volume from the host itself. So here what happened, we are taking a volume from where, we are taking a volume from our host where our Docker it is installed, okay? So this is the concept, why how we are, why and how we are making our container a container as a stateful, okay? Stateful containers. So most of the time people will ask that what is a stateful container, and how we can make our container as a stateful. So solution is a Docker volume. Okay. And yeah. So Docker volume kinds. How many kinds? So we how many types we can create the volume. Okay, we have a three types. First one is bind mount. Second is volume. Third one is temp fs mount. Okay, so we have a three options. So three options means how we can create it. We have to be see in this class. So it is a very simple and very easy to understand that. First of all, I need to be log in our AWS account first. When we are creating a Docker file, a Docker volume, we have a three kinds of option. First one, it is a tempfs mount, and tempfs mount will mount into that memory part. Okay, when we are assigning volume for the memory, uh, that types it is called a tempfs mount. And second one, it is a bind mount. Bind mount, what happened when we are binding some volume from the host itself? So it is a called bind volume. Okay. And third one, it is a volume. When we are creating a volume internally to the Docker area, then what happened? It is a called volume. So we have a three options. Okay. See here, Docker volume, how we have a help option. So with that, we will see. Yeah, create options. It is there. So if which kind of how we can create a volume. So here we have a create a volume options. D means detach mode. Okay, means a specific volume driver name labels list, and hyphen O means opt map and set driver specific options default map. One minute, I have to see something else. No, no. Suppose I want to see that, right? Docker volume ls means how many any volumes are available or not. It is not available. Okay, it is ls means whatever 10 volumes are there, so it will display all 10 volume in this screen. That's it. Okay, apart from that, nothing is there. So so no net volume it is created as of now. Okay. First of all, we have to understand that we have a three here. Here, so uh, Docker provided two options for the data persistence, so that file is file are persistent even after the container is stopped. So as I have explained that, right? Suppose I have a rebooted or something in previously stateless, what happened? It is deleted the data whatever it contains. For storing the data, persisting the data, we are attaching the volume from this container, and when the container is rebooted also, is stopped and start also. So what happened is data it is not deleted. It should be stored into the uh, into the volume, and we have a two option for it, one for that volume and one for the mount. Two options are there, and understand the differences first of all, then we will go for the practical. Volume are directory or files that are outside the union file system, combine of the read only layer with the read only layer up top of that container. Okay, volume exists stored as a normal file and directory on the host file system, and here hence to persist and share the data between the containers, Docker uses volume, and volume are best option to persist the data in Docker volumes, and Docker manages volumes and is stored as part of the host file system. And by default path it is this. Okay, if anybody will ask that by default path of the Docker volume, the slash var slash lib slash docker. Why? Because it is a Docker is there, and volumes then after that volume section are there. So I will see that cd where lib where docker. When you are installing the Docker, right, during that time you will get all this volume by default itself. Okay, and these are the section where here see, understand, if you go the images part, so you will see that images if it is there any. Okay, so which images you have overlay only, and then after that you have to come back. And if you want to see that network, okay, any networks are there. So yes, you can see the networks also. Files, some files are there, file directories are there. So understand that what is inside it, local hyphen kv.db. Okay. So similar way, we have a volume. We because we have seen that no volume are there, so it will not display anything, but we want to see that some metadata.db, it is a information some where that in where that volume db, you can consider that it is a volume db, it will store the data. Here what happen, hyphen b, it is c hyphen b, so it is a blocking fs block dev kind of one one file are there. Okay, a block file we can consider that. So here first of all you have understand that, and processes not part of the Docker and should be modified is the portion of the file mount in a Docker we can use for the following mount. So bind mount and tempfs mount. Tempfs for the specific for the memory, and bind mount specific for the specific for that. You can consider the allocation of the volumes, and bind mount a file or folder stored anywhere on the container host file system and mounted into the running container is called bind mount. Listen very carefully. A file or folder stored anywhere on the container. Okay, this word under the container, whether it is a file or directory, uh, anywhere on the container host file system and mount into the running container, it is called bind mount. They can be anything from the essential system file to the directory. And interestingly, Docker container and non-Docker processes are present on the Docker host and modify these mounts at the time. A temp fs mount are used mainly by Docker running on the Linux system. Their storage is in the host system's memory only, and additionally, we never write the tempfs mount to the host systems file system, and means what is that? It is a persistent uh, way if we are storing any volume into the memory, and here if we are storing anything, whatever it is, suppose we have a container file system, right? And we have to map into the host. So this is the way. And if we have a volume on from the host system, and directly we have to mount it into that volume into Docker file, right? So this is the way volume, bind mount, and temp mount. How to do it? We will see that, and what is the differences are there. We'll just we can see that. Okay, give me a minute. We have a some flag. Hyphen V means volume. Hyphen M means mount. Okay. Hyphen, even we have one mount flag. It calls hyphen TF. What it calls? Uh, TM PFS. We have a. I will show you within a minute. Give me a minute. Yeah. Suppose I'm going to create this. Okay. I'm going to create this volume docker volume and create, and this is the volume name, and it is creating where? If you want to see that volume it is created or not, which command?
It
ls
is
command,
created in the hard disk.
hard disk itself. Okay. And here what happened, we are aware that, right, in which path we have to go? cd slash where slash lib slash docker slash volume.
Volumes. Volumes.
Now, yeah, see here, it is in whatever you have created one volume, and this volume taken that hard disk from where? From your host machine itself. Okay, and second it is, if you want to see that volumes, okay, if you want to see about volumes, so which command we have to do? Docker docker volume inspect and volume name. Okay. And see here volume information is coming. Okay. And it is created at what time? It is created driver it is local. What is the meaning of driver? If you are creating you for volumes, right, you are creating with your local, or if you are creating some driver to allocate these volumes. Driver means we have multiple drivers to means provide that this volume. Okay, means third party, it is a specific for the third party talking about. But if you want to create these volumes into local means in this host machine in your server, so that driver name should be the always local. And labels mean if you want to assign some names, alternative names, so here labels will come into the picture. A mount point here, very specific, very important. Here, this is the location. Okay, slash where slash lib slash docker slash volume slash my volume name, and hyphen d. What is a hyphen d? It is a containers volume area. Here you have seen that, right? in the diagram, it is written Docker area. Hyphen D means Docker area. Make sense? Mm. Hyphen D means hyphen data means it is a Docker area, and name is volume name. Options, no options, scope local means you are creating this volume locally. So you are getting these options means you can able to see all these details. Okay, and if you want to remove this volume, you have a command rm and volume name. Volume, what is the volume name? This one. And now how we can see that it is deleted or not? Volume ls. So what happened? Nothing is there. Okay, so we can create the volumes, we can delete the volumes, but while deleting the volumes, we will very careful. Why? Because these volumes, it is not empty, and it will store some data. Okay, and this you have to take a decision with your management that this volume is needed or not. If it is not needed, then you can delete it. It doesn't matter for us. But if it is needed by default, by mistake, you have deleted, right? It will create a big impact because it is if it is running into the production, it contains that business data. And if you are deleted, means you are a gone case. So without confirmation, you have to delete this volume randomly. You can't play with that production and all. Okay. So deletion parts everywhere. It is important that don't delete anything in blindly. And one more thing, I want to explain you. Suppose I'm creating in some volumes randomly, like here one. Yeah, yeah. So if you want to see that Docker volume uh, ls. So these are that volumes I have created. Around how four volumes it is created. And suppose I'm not using this volume and unnecessary in system, you are not consuming these volumes. Okay, it is only created and you forgot it. You, so we have a one command. From this command, right, you can delete. This is the prom, right? Remove all unused local volumes. Whatever volume you have created, right, locally, and by mistake, or you have missed that to use it. And if you want to delete this, right, so use this command. See very the command. See this command very carefully. That okay. Docker volume. Listen. Prune, prune, and when we hit enter, what happened? It will ask that yes or no. If you, do you want to delete that? Yes. So it is written that deleted all this thing ls all fours. And now see Docker volume ls. Nothing is there. What happened? You have created and four volumes, and by mistake you are not using anywhere these volumes. So if you want to delete unused volume, you can type, you can fire this command docker volume prune. Okay, so it will delete. Even though images also you can use the prune command. I will, in place of docker volume, right, you have to type docker images prune. So what happened? It will delete unused images. Okay, so this is the very important command, and in an interview people will ask also.